Julie, can you hear now? I wasn't speaking. That's why you couldn't hear. Ouch. Bang my finger right into the desk. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Did you have a good weekend? Welcome back to Kavanaugh's live read aloud at 4. Came in to see the haircut. You think I was going to make it that easy for you guys? You're mistaken. Mm-mm-mm-mm. It's called the patience game. Something that you guys all need to learn how to use. Patience. So many of you just so quick and want everything right away. You're going to have to wait for the haircut. You're going to have to wait. You're not taking puppy, are you?
No.
Yeah, she's tired. My dog is exhausted. Too many walks for her. You're going to have to wait for the haircut, guys. First of all, I want to talk about a few things. I want you to listen, so stop writing on the side. We talked about this before. Don't press send. Okay. What that means is, you're writing. Please stop the comments on the side. I want you to listen. So many of you think you're being funny on your thing, on your computer, and you hit send. It doesn't come across as funny. It's very hard to translate comedy or jokes by typing something on a chat line. It doesn't work. I've asked you repeatedly not to have a social gathering on the class stream because you're trying to be funny, some of you, and it's not working. And then I'm starting to catch a little bit of people think they're trying to defend me, and I appreciate it. Thank you. You don't have to defend me. I know they need to know to be patient, and we've said it a million times. I got people saying that's not even how you spell patience, just being completely rude to each other. And it might be a joke, but I have no idea because there's no way to tell on a computer if you're joking or not. So we've talked about it in class with social media and all these kinds of things. You don't press send, guys. It's when you're texting somebody, you're very clear with what you're trying to say. I always say don't do it when you're angry. Don't do it when you're upset. Don't try to joke. Texting is made for matter-of-fact information. I'll be there at 4. That's what texting is for. Okay, I'll see you there. Not trying to be a jokester because it doesn't translate. And you think you're being funny. And you could be upsetting somebody. You could be aggravating people. I know people are aggravated on the site because so many of you don't read instructions or you don't listen. Where's the code? Where's the code? Like I'm sitting here twirling my thumbs, holding out on you. Computers are very tricky things, and I'm not a computer guy. So it takes me a little while to get things going. There's 3 or 4 of you that just aren't getting it. So what I had to do today was I had to mute them where they weren't able to comment at all. And I'm going to do that from now on. There's not even going to be a warning. Just be aware that I don't want to hear it. If you start chatting on the streamline, the information that I need to get to your classmates gets lost because it gets pushed all the way down. So when we asked you, do not post on the main streamline, many of you just listen. You do the right thing. I have to say, 85% of you. I've got great messages today on the math assignment. I got great messages on the writing assignment and on the science, right where you had to do it. Ask the questions right on the assignment, not on the main page. The main page is just for information. Whose Nearpod is going? Here's the code. What's the day's assignments? That's for the stream. It should pretty much be me. And I love how you compliment each other on your Nearpods. And by the way, unbelievable. They've been wonderful. I've been enjoying it. I had my 8-year-old son, my 7-year-old son here today. All of them do it. But for 1 hour, he did 4 Nearpods. And after when we were done, he made his own. And he wants to show it to you guys when it's his turn. So I said, you guys would love that. So I'm sure he'll be so excited to do it. And what I've learned from this experience is what would be best for next year's Nearpods is to have somehow get our voices in there and have you just record it and you just hit play and away it goes. This way everybody's on the same page. Because I know it's hard for me to know, like Brianna's had such great writing in there, but it was long. So we tried to wait as long as we could because I know we got some readers. I know I'm a slow reader and I was reading it to my kids, but some of you might have been slow and I might have sped up on you too quickly. I know Bobby was great and asking me if I can go a little slower. That's phenomenal use of your questioning, by the way, Bobby. That's what you need to do. If he's here, I haven't seen him yet. But you guys, it's been an amazing, amazing work. Today's Nearpods were off the charts good. They've all been good, but today was really, really a great day. All four were very, very exciting to read, to play, and I didn't actually get to play today because my sons wanted to use my computer. But very, very good. Preston, we're not making comments right now. I know I told you that. I know you heard that, but yet I still see a comment. Okay, so what we're working on now is Jason Lincoln's Killer. It's okay. I want you to understand something, though. I want you to learn to listen, all of you. All of you. There's 3 or 4 of you that are about to be muted for the until we see each other again because I can't deal with it. So you're going to have to work on it, okay? Today's classwork, 2 of the math questions. I know Maddie Johnson had called me back, spoke to me about. I didn't love 11 or 12. And the sheet that I had, I don't know if things were blacked out, but I put things in, and number 12, the answers were in the millions. It was like 4,016 millions was the right answer. I'm not grading them. I'm just, if you handed it in, I'm looking it over, sending it back to you for your corrections. But you're just getting a check that it's done. So don't stress it if you got a few wrong. As long as you handed it in, I'm fine. Even if you didn't hand it in, I'm fine. In all honesty, I'd like to see you do the work. And I really would like to see you do the IXL math. I really would. All right, you ready to read? Oh, by the way, there it is. No more hair. Shaved it. Got rid of it. You could comment now. I'll take all comments on the side. Comments are open. You could give me a little tease. Perfectly done. Anyone wants a haircut, maybe when we come back, I could shave your hair too. Thank you, Dean, for the compliment. I tell you what, I saved money on hairspray and gel. Here, look at this. Beautiful. Woo! I got a round head, so it does work for me, I was told. It's not the first time I've done it. I've done St. Baldrick's before, where I've shaved my head many times. So it's not a big deal for me. I know it's new for you guys, but there's pictures of me. I go a whole year like this. Once in a while, I like to grow it out. Once in a while, I keep it short. Why no hair, Ryan? What happens to me when I'm stuck in my house is I go a little crazy. I want to change. I want something going on. Like I reorganize my kids' work areas. I basically cleaned out the entire thing. I set up all these desks for them, and I set up cubicles and cork boards, and we're all over here. I got I hung up sport pictures on the wall there. You know, some pretty cool things is what I've been doing the last few days. Yeah, so Ava, you know what I'm talking about. Nearpods are going to be canceled tomorrow. There will be no Nearpods tomorrow because we have the parade. There might even not be a Chasing Lincoln's Killer tomorrow, but we'll see. I'm going to let you know. We'll play that by ear. My wife said I look younger too. Thank you, Bree. I'm 45 years old, so looking younger is not a bad thing for me. Not a bad thing. And as long as I don't eat too much and get chubby, because it don't look good. You need to have a narrow face with this kind of hair, because that won't work for me. So I don't want to do that. So, and red, red is the color of choice, Preston. Come on. Christian, I remember you when you had short hair. It's been a long time, but I remember you with short hair. Matthew, your hair's getting long too. Preston, I love your hair. I wouldn't shave it. I love your hair. Very stylish hair. But you know what? Once in a while, it's good to get a little change, a little mix, and it works well. I look different. I sound the same, though, and I still got the red cheeks here. So I'm still the same loud, intense, Mr. Kavanaugh. I just had my kids running up hills before doing workouts, and I hate to say this, but my son was whooping me. I literally had to lie down on the couch for an hour. I didn't think I was going to be able to do the reading. I was so beat up. Yeah, I remember that, Christian. Okay. I love your hair short, Deanie. Love it when you get that nice haircut. Danny, where's Daniel? Daniel's hair. Woo, love his hair. I don't have his hair, though. Okay, enough of the beauty parlor, and we're going to get to the reading. Anybody remember who that is? Who's this guy? Remember who this guy is? That's right, Samuel Mudd, the doctor who had the power to end the manhunt after day one, but he did not. He actually spells it M-U-D-D, Mudd. My puppy's sleeping. You want to take a look at my puppy sleeping on the couch? Can you see her there? Where is she? See, that's her back right there. Out like a light. Out like a light. Like a light. Like a light. All right. Okay, here we go. Jackie, what's up, brother? All right. Yeah, she's a cutie pie. My Tessa is a light. She makes life easy. My dog is the only one who loves the quarantine. She could live with me being home all the time. She gets such great time. Okay. Listen, it's been a while since we read. It feels like we haven't read in months. So let's catch ourselves up. Mudd, David Harold are now leaving Samuel Mudd's farm. Now, all the comments now, guys, I want you to catch yourself. Okay, now that we've changed direction, now we're talking about Jason Lincoln's killer. I'll answer any questions here as long as they're relevant to the story. If they're not relevant to the story, I'm just going to mute your comment. I want you to be able to switch. We had a nice chit chat. Now it's on to the book, right? And we'll end with a chit chat. But let's focus on the book right now so I know your minds are into the game. All right? And I appreciate you joining me. It's been 2 horrible rainy days. I know probably some of you want to be outside running around in your yard, and I get that, and I'm fine with it. You don't have to be here, but I love that you are. Love hearing from you. Okay, yeah, they're going to leave the state, Preston. They're looking to go to Virginia. That's where they want to get to. You know, it's the capital of the South. And so now here it is. They're in Maryland, and Mudd said, listen, I'm not going to turn you in. I'm not going to turn you in. And when they come here, I'm going to point them in a different direction. I'm going to tell them you came just in case someone saw you, but I'm going to tell them that you went a different direction and that I didn't know who you were. But that's where he gets in trouble because people know that he knows who he is. All right. Chapter 7. For those of you who don't know, that's Roman numeral 7. Are we ready? Back at Ford's Theater, the investigation was well underway. Stanton was determined to preserve the scene of the crime. He ordered the theater to be surrounded by a 24-hour guard. He wanted photographs of the interior of the theater to record exactly how it appeared at the moment of the assassination. Matthew Brady, who had photographed Lincoln many times, now photographed the scene of his murder. He captured the stage and its scenery as it was at the time of the assassination, the exterior of the president's box, the approach to the box, and the outer door leading to the vestibule. Easter Sunday, 1865, would forever be known as Black Easter to those who lived through it. Abraham Lincoln's murder transformed a time of rejoicing in the Capitol to a time of mourning. I find it interesting. I don't know if you guys do. That was called Black Easter. Those of you who celebrate Easter, myself included, this will be the first Easter that we're not able to spend with families and travel and do those things. So that's kind of like in our own way, our own Black Easter. You know, maybe the first time the nation has been that sad on an Easter day, maybe since Lincoln's assassination. Incredibly, think about it that way. Abraham Lincoln's murder transformed, Alexa, happy birthday. Abraham Lincoln's murder transformed the time of rejoicing in the Capitol to a time of mourning. Across the country, ministers stayed up late Saturday night and by candle or lamp wrote out the final words of sermons they began composing as soon as they heard the terrible news of the president's death. So churches across the country, not just the ones in Washington, but everywhere, once they heard Easter Sunday, their mass that they gave was basically about the president. It was all about the president. It's completely, it's as sad as it gets. Why Black Easter? Because it's a tremendous pain, when you're like in a black hole, you can't get out of it. And that's why I would say it's like Black Easter. They call it Black Easter because everybody was depressed and sad. And black is a color of darkness on the color wheel, and that's how they viewed it. Most places now, because it's public, the newspaper got out and telegraphs were sent. So pretty much everywhere knows about it now. So it's traveled pretty well. In the early hours of Black Easter, Booth and the Herald sought their salvation, not in a church, but at the door of a loyal Confederate. At the Cox house, Herald dismounted and knocked. Sorry, Tessa. My dog woke up. Booth stayed on his horse under the cover of a tree in the yard. Cox poked his head out from a second-story window and asked, "Who's there?" Herald refused to give his name, not sure if he could trust the captain. He said only that he was with a man who needed help. Suspicious, Cox opened the door and looked over the worn-out, crazy-eyed man standing before him. The stranger seemed more like a boy than a man. The farmer looked around his yard. Booth dismounted with some difficulty and hobbled up to the porch to the door. In great pain, he pleaded with Cox for help. It was there, by brilliant moonlight, that Cox saw the initials, JWB, tattooed on the hand of the injured stranger. It was there the sweet-talking actor used his charm and talents to win over the man to his cause. Cox swung open the door and invited the fugitives into his home. Okay, right at that moment, the nation knows John Wilkes Booth did it. Cox knows it's John Wilkes Booth. He lets him in his house. Is he guilty? Is he guilty? Is the question I'm asking you. Is Cox guilty of anything? Any replies? Not sure? Yes, Julia. Yes, Brianna. Yes, Isabella. Yes, Dean. Yes, Matthew. Yes, Christian. Yes, 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 yes. All those yeses are true. He knows it. You can't let him in. He's an accomplice now. That's it. He's connected. Bobby, we were missing you. Great that you're here. You didn't miss much. Precisely when Booth told Cox on the front porch, and during the next few hours they spent together in the house, remains a mystery. The assassin of the president was in there, injured, desperate, and on the run from a manhunt. Given the unusual things Cox and his son Given the unusual things Cox and his son were about to do for Booth, given Booth's state of mind, there is little doubt that Booth confessed all to his host. Father and son saw the murderer and his accomplice and decided to help them. Cox helped them decide on their next move. He told Booth there was only one man who could get them safely across the Potomac River. That man was Thomas Jones. Let's see. Sorry I'm late. Missed anything? Yes. Now he's a part of it. Absolutely. Well, a different story, Julia. If he's trapping him, that's a great plan. Now he'll be a hero. But unfortunately, he's not trapping him. He's giving him the next step on the railroad. He's telling him where to go. He's like, I got a guy who could get you across the river. It's going to get you closer to Virginia. And that man is Thomas Jones. Thomas Jones knows everything. So now they go to Thomas Jones. That's the next plan, is how they get to Thomas Jones. I want to go through this quickly. And Preston, it's a very good question. And I love the way you're asking questions today. It's what I want to see more of from you. In this time in history, you either love the South or you love the North. You are not in the middle. Okay? So if you love the South and you hated Lincoln, you would do anything to help out that cause, because in your mind, you're not being a traitor to the government because you don't believe in the government. You believe in the South. So because you don't believe in it, you don't feel like you're doing anything wrong. So that's why they didn't betray him. They wouldn't. They were loyal to anyone who was loyal to what they thought. Cox would summon Thomas Jones after sunrise the next morning. For now, it was too dangerous for Booth and Harold to remain at Cox's farm. Instead, they would hide in a heavily wooded pine thicket some distance away. No one would search for them there. Cox reassured them, and it was unlikely any locals would happen to see them there. They were not to build a fire. Someone might see it. In the morning, someone would come to them. That person would signal with a specific 3-note whistle. Sorry, puppy. Woke the dog up again. She's not happy with me. As he approached, they were to beware anyone who did not make that sound. So I hope you understand. Thank you, Bobby. Me and you, baby. This is how we roll. I hope you understand that what the people that Booth was being sent to, first Mudd, he knew Mudd was with him, at least partly with him. And then Mudd gave him another guy. So he knew Cox was going to be with him. Now Cox gives him another guy, Thomas Jones. So Booth knows Thomas Jones is going to be with him. They're only connecting the dots of the people they know are going to help them. They're not just going to random houses. Do you understand that? They're not going to random places. They know where they're going is people that believe in what they're saying. That's what's happening right now. So now they're hiding in the woods. Cox is not having them at the house. He hides them in the woods, pine thickets. Like you can't even see through it. Think of like a swamp and those high grass weeds. That's kind of where they are. And they're told when they hear that 3 whistle, they know that's someone that's going to be there with them. If you don't hear that whistle, hide. Don't let anyone see you. I'm not saying, listen, I'm also not saying that these people would have killed Lincoln. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they're not sad that he's dead. You understand that? Mudd didn't kill Lincoln. Cox didn't kill Lincoln. Thomas Jones didn't kill Lincoln. Even David Harold didn't kill Lincoln. But they're all guilty because they're all helping. You understand? I don't know if they would go after Lincoln the way Booth did. But I do know that they're helping him. I hope you understand that, what I'm trying to tell you. Again, I agree with Julie. I don't know if they're all bad. I don't know if Samuel Mudd is a bad guy. I don't know if Samuel Cox is a bad guy. They believe in something, and they think they're doing what's right for them. Remember, you didn't live. It's hard to judge people when you didn't live in their time. So it's hard to say, you would have done this, and I would have done that. It's like saying, listen, your best friend does something, and you know it's wrong. You know, what are you going to do? You as a kid, you know, you probably would you do the right thing and tell your parents, and that's what you should do. But they're not kids, and they're a little bit more loyal to people than they are technically than what was right and the government. We only got a few more left, about 5 more pages left today. Okay, let's catch up here. Booth and Harold ate the food Cox offered them, saddled up for the ride to the pine thicket, and rode off with Fox's overseer as their guide. If their luck held, they would cross into Virginia sometime after nightfall with the help of Thomas Jones. Within 24 hours, if that is it, they could survive just one more day in Maryland. Booth and Harold entered the pines, dismounted, tied off their horses, exhausted. The 2 men unrolled their blankets on the damp earth, laid down and gazed up at the immense black sky decorated by countless points of twinkling light. It would be morning in a few hours. If Captain Cox's word was true, it was safe to doze off until then. Again, a lot of you were thinking these guys are trying to trap Booth. Every single one of them could have done it. You're right. And this could be a plan to trap Booth. It could be a plan to get him. It don't seem like it, but it could be. You know, you tell the cavalry, listen, I got him. All you got to do is do this 3-note whistle, and it's over. Correct. There's a lot of pages left in this book, though, guys. So I don't think it's going to end right here. I will tell you this, Julia. I was told this long ago. Certain crimes, certain murders, they never stop. They never stop. They would have never stopped searching for John Wilkes Booth. The government would have never, the country would have never stopped. Never. But it's a great, great question. The rising, what Booth was just hoping that he can escape into the deep South and then never be seen again. That was his plan. The rising sun and chirping birds woke Booth and Harold early in the morning. Now they could do nothing but wait. Back at the farm, Captain Cox had to find out whether his friend would actually help Booth and Harold. He sent his son to fetch Thomas Jones right away. Thomas Jones was a Confederate Secret Service veteran who had spent his entire life trailblazing through the fields, thickets, and forests of rural Maryland and navigating his streams, marshes, and rivers. During the war, he had ferried hundreds of men and the occasional female spy across the Potomac River between Maryland and Virginia. He transported the Confederate mail between the two states and sent south fresh Union newspapers that provided information valuable to the Confederacy. Jones was a valuable and mysterious secret agent operating along the water borders between the Union and the Confederate territories. The Union Army had never caught him in action. He was a river ghost to the boys in blue uniforms. His knowledge of the river enabled him to calculate the best time to begin a trip across. This guy, what a great nickname. The River Ghost was his name. And the reason why is he was a secret agent. He lived in the North. But he would transport all the information from the North in the newspapers. And he would travel on the Potomac River into Virginia and drop off all that information. So does this sound like a guy that's going to turn Booth in? He's a secret agent. He's working for the South. He worked for the South. That's what he did. And he had one of the coolest nicknames in history, the River Ghost, because nobody ever could catch him. He always knew when to travel where nobody could see him. What would they do? If Booth just died, then they would stop looking because he's dead. There's no reason to keep looking any further. I don't know. No, yes, no, yes. Would they stop searching for him for a while? Okay. So, pretty cool, the River Ghost, though. I mean, that's not a bad name. You know that. Army. His knowledge of the river enabled him to calculate the best time to begin a trip across. They should have a little before sunset, when the reflection in the water of the high bluffs near Pope's Creek extended out into the Potomac until it nearly met the shadow cast by the Virginia woods. It would be difficult to spot a small rowboat floating in the river. So his plan was, when the sun was peaking and that sunlight gaze met the shadows of the trees, you couldn't see a boat in that area. Pretty cool strategy. Yeah. Remember, the people in Maryland, they didn't secede. However, many of the people wanted to secede. Many of the people wanted the South to win. You know what I'm saying? Maryland never seceded. The government never left. The state government of Maryland never left. But the people in Maryland, they believe more in the South than they did the North. So that's why that was going on. Jones's service to the Confederacy had cost him a great deal. Suspected of disloyalty to the Union, federal forces arrested and jailed him for months at the old Capitol Prison in Washington, When Jones went to the Confederate capital, Richmond, at the beginning of April 1865 to collect the money owed by the Confederacy, he discovered that the army had evacuated the city, and he went unpaid. He lost $2,300. And in 1850, you know how much money that is? That the government who owed him didn't pay him. So he needs money. 3 years of service he was not paid for, along with all the money he had invested in the Confederacy bonds at the beginning of the war. All this meant Jones needed as much money as he could lay his hands on. And what does Booth have? What does Booth have? Booth's got money. Booth's got money. Booth will pay. That's because he was getting the North. What would they do if they found the ghost? Well, not only you got to find him, you got to find him committing a crime. They knew where he was. They just could never catch him committing a crime. If they found him committing a crime, they would have arrested him. But he was the river ghost, baby. No one catching the river ghost. And he's not getting caught now either. Let me just tell you. One of my favorite people, in a weird way, this Thomas Jones. He's just one of those wily veterans, they would call him. At Jones's farm, the Cox boy told Jones his father's wish to see him at once. Some strangers were at our house last night, the boy said. Jones's eyes lit up. Could he mean the heroes? That's how he thought of them. The heroes who assassinated President Lincoln? The report excited Jones. The day before, Jones learned from Union soldiers that Lincoln had been assassinated, and they had information that the assassins had traveled this way. Jones felt it in his bones. Captain Cox wanted to see him about something connected to the assassination. So this excited the river ghost. It excited him. So he's like, yeah, I'm involved now. I'm part of this. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to talk to the heroes who killed Lincoln. And remember, we're crying about Lincoln being killed. This guy, Thomas Jones, is calling them heroes. So it just tells you where he thought it was. Jones saddled up and accompanied young Cox to his father's farm. Once he arrived, Captain Cox and Thomas Jones spoke casually for a few minutes until Cox could avoid the subject no longer. Tom, I had a visitor about 4 o'clock this morning. Cox revealed, they want to get across the river. He spoke in a whisper. Have you heard that Lincoln was killed Friday night? Yes, Jones replied, telling Cox about what he learned about the assassination from the Union soldiers. Cox finally blurted out, Tom, we must get those men who were here this morning across that river. We must do our part. Then he told Jones everything about the late night visit from Booth and Herold. Jones was no coward. 4 years of loyal, dangerous service to the Confederacy had proved that. But the war was over. Jones considered the situation. Then he made up his mind. I'll see what I can do, he said. I must see these men. Where are they? Captain Cox told Thomas Jones that Booth and Herold had spent the night in a pine thicket. Lincoln's killer was there now, waiting for someone to rescue him. Cox gave Jones the whistle code, a set of 3 notes, and cautioned him to approach the fugitives carefully. They are fully armed and might shoot you through mistake, he warned. Alone, Jones rode toward his meeting with Lincoln's assassins. At the edge of the thicket, he stopped, whistled the 3 notes, and waited. David Herold rose from the brush and aimed his Spencer carbine at him. The weapon was cocked and ready to fire. Who are you? And what do you want? Demanded Herold. Jones told Herold that Cox had sent him and that he was a friend. Herold relaxed his grip on his gun and said, follow me. He took Jones deeper into the pines through thick undergrowth to a man partly covered, concealed by the bush. Jones, overcome by a mixture of thrill and fear, saw John Wilkes Booth for the first time. He later recalled that Booth was dressed in stained, dark clothes. Booth was very pale, and his face bore signs of suffering. Let me catch you guys up here. Whoa, you guys got a lot going on here. What if Booth dies? I did that right already. A lot of money fact. Okay. Julia, we said the same thing, blah, blah, blah. In Booth in the north. He's in Maryland still, Bob. He's in Maryland trying to get to Virginia. That's what this trip across the Potomac will do. He's trying to get to Virginia. He's not in the South yet, Julie. He's still in the North. He's going south. He's going south. Okay, so now that here's Jones meets him, and they're ready to go now, ready to make their plan. Booth confided what Jones already knew. Booth had killed Lincoln. The assassin understood that the odds of escape were against him. He also vowed that he would never be taken alive. Jones was sure he meant it. What that means is, if I'm going down shooting. Which means if they're going to come, if the government's coming to take me, they're going to have to kill me to take me. I'm not going to prison. That's what that means. Wouldn't be taken alive. Jones proposed a plan. He would help Booth and Harold cross the Potomac River to Virginia, but they must leave it to him to decide when and how they would make the attempt. Patience. The word of the day. Patience was essential. Meanwhile, Jones would feed them and make preparations for their crossing. Booth and Harold must not leave the pine thicket, make any noise, or do anything that might let anyone know they were there. Jones said that to cross the river, they needed a dark night, smooth water, and deserted riverbanks. It would be best to wait for the departure of many of the soldiers and detectives who had already followed Booth south into Maryland. That might take days, and there would be no doctor for Booth until they crossed the river. Jones persuaded the assassins that the best way to escape was to stop running and go into hiding. Manhunters were already nearby. Soon, federal forces would join Lieutenant Dana and fan across the part of Maryland Booth and Harold were in. They would remain in hiding and let the manhunters sweep through the country before they moved on. So here's what's going on. Remember we said there was a 7-hour head start and then the manhunters caught up? Well, now the plan is let the manhunters go past you. You stay. You hide. You let them look around Maryland. They're not going to find you in this pine thicket right now. So once they go ahead of you, that's when we escape. What do you mean, why the north? What does that mean, Aaliyah? He's not going north. He's going south. They're going from Maryland to Virginia. That's the plan. They don't want to go north. They just, right now, they want to hold, stay still in the thicket. Let the cavalry look through Maryland and then pass you. That's the plan there. You understand that? That's the plan. Booth's curiosity about public reaction to the assassination led him to make an additional request of Jones. Please bring some current Washington newspapers from the day Lincoln died, or from today, the 16th. Despite his pain and exhaustion, the actor was eager to read about his deed in the papers. Now, I want you to remember something. Remember, he gave a letter to a friend and said, as soon as that next day happens, he didn't tell him what the letter was about. He didn't tell him what he was going to do. He said, when you get this letter, I'm going to give you this letter. Give it to the newspapers tomorrow. And in that letter was the reasons why he killed Lincoln. And he wanted the newspapers to have it. Okay? Remember that. It's important. Also remember, he's an actor. He's a cocky actor. He wants to know what people thought of his performance. He wants to read it in the paper. He wants to read, see what they thought of his letter. He wants to know what people are thinking about him. Right now, it's still one day. They say, listen, wait, I'm going to let you know. Thomas Jones didn't tell him exactly when. He just said, we're not ready now. Let me get supplies. You might have to wait a whole nother day or 2 or 3 or 4. I'll let you know when we get there. But right now, it's just the one day. Why would they let them pass them? Because what if Booth catches them? Matthew, it's an awesome question. The reason why, because if they left now, Matt, they're caught. They're even. He's got a broken leg, right? Broken leg. They can't outrun them. So now they're even, they're tied. They're going to get caught. If they're out in the open, there's enough people that know about them, they're going to get caught. So they have to wait. The only way to get out now is darkness and through very secret trails. And you can't rush those things. You got to plan it out. And that's what their plan was, to plan it out. It's a great question. But Matt, if they were to leave now, they're caught. There's no way around it. They're going to get caught. So their plan was, let them go ahead and we're going to know where they are. We're behind. We're going to hide and sneak. And listen, they know the odds are against them no matter what. They know they're in trouble. They know it's not likely they're going to make it out. They're going to do the best that they can. Because of the newspapers. Word is out now, Aaliyah. Telegrams, and each area was able to connect through telegrams and services, and people found out about it. The whole world doesn't know about it, but a lot of the states know about it. Okay? And now that's why it's another great question, Aaliyah. That's the reason, though. Word started to spread. And now once the telegram hits, now everyone starts talking. It starts spreading like crazy. And that's how it's getting out there. Okay, so right, he wants those newspapers. I think that's great. Jones mounted his horse, maneuvered through the pine trees, and vanished from sight until Jones returned. Booth and Harold were on their own. With his simple plan, Jones foiled the whole manhunt for John Wilkes Booth. A single Confederate agent, nearly penniless, had just frustrated the frantic pursuit by thousands of men being directed from Washington by Secretary of War Stanton. So Thomas Jones, by making them stay, outsmarted the entire United States cavalry. None of them thought Booth would be staying put. They all thought he was traveling. So here goes the cavalry right by Booth. So Thomas Jones' plan to this point is working. Okay, now we go. Remember George Azardot? You remember him? George Azardot was the one responsible for killing Vice President Johnson, who's now President Johnson. So that tells you that he didn't do it. He's also the guy that was scared. He went to the bar, had a drink, then left and said, I'm not doing it. And on his way out of town, he threw his knife away. Hold on 1 second, guys. I was pausing a movie and it just unpaused itself. And I want to watch the end of it. So I had to record it. Sorry about that. Selfishly. It's A Few Good Men. I've seen it 600 times. But my favorite scene was coming up. So I want to make sure I see it. Okay, anyway. Okay, so his plan is working, which is good. Now we're talking George Azardot threw that knife. So what happens to him? Let's find out. This guy, too. Let's watch what happens to him. Late on Easter morning, George Azardot showed up at the home of Tommy Metz. Not Metz, M-E-T-Z. All you Met fans out there. About 20 miles from Washington in Montgomery County, Maryland, north of Charles County, where Booth and Harold were. Azardot joined Metz and three of his guests for a midday meal. One of the guests had known him for years, and when Azardot arrived, he teased him. Now, everybody knows about Lincoln's death. Everyone knows Azardot doesn't like Lincoln. So he teases him, joking around like you do with your buddies. He says, are you the man that killed Abraham Lincoln? The joke must have frozen Azardot in his tracks. Azardot laughed and said, yes. He also confirmed for the guest that Seward's throat had been cut. His sons attacked. Azardot, the slow-witted German, did not know it, but he had just sealed his fate. One of the guests would inform the local authorities of Azardot's boast. So this idiot, I hate to use that word, guys, but nobody knows him. He's innocent. He didn't see his name in any paper. No letter was out. Nobody knows about him. He goes to a buddy's house, and his buddy jokes with him. He said, oh, you the one that killed Lincoln? He said, yeah, I'm the one. Maybe looking to take credit. And then he also said, yeah, and Seward, throat was slashed. You know, I know all these details. But what he doesn't understand is there's somebody at that house that he never met before. And he's out there talking and boasting like he did something in front of a stranger. That stranger leaves the house, and finally someone does the right thing, tells the authorities about George Azardot and his big mouth. So what do you think is going to happen to George Azardot? Let's see, almost done here, guys. Yes, he also blah, blah, blah. One of the guests would inform the local authorities of Azardot's boast. After dinner, Azardot, unaware that he aroused the suspicions of the guest, traveled to the home of his cousin, Jimmy Richer, arriving after 2 p.m. That day, Samuel Mudd considered his situation. At some point, probably soon, the soldiers or detectives would discover two things about him. He had visitors on assassination night, and even more damning, he had known ties to Booth. He did not wish to betray Booth, but too many people at Mudd's farm had seen Booth and Harold for Mudd to keep the visitor a secret. And we're going to stop there for today because we're already at the 46-minute mark. We're going to stop there with Mudd starting to feel a little guilty, not because he didn't do the right thing, but he's starting to think that he's in trouble. Samuel Mudd is starting to think he's in trouble. A lot of people saw Booth and Harold at his house. A lot of people know that he knows Booth and Harold, or at least Booth. Booth killed Lincoln. Mudd is saying, listen, I'm in trouble here. I better think of something to get. I don't want to betray Booth, but I also don't want to go to jail or anything to happen to my farm or my family or my medical practice. So we'll find out what Samuel Mudd does tomorrow to try to save himself. Sounds good? Okay, let me see if I'm catching up here. Get arrested in town. Wow, a lot. Booth said. Okay, hold on. Whoa, I missed a lot. Takes time. Yes, true. Okay, here we go. They should have people looking and people going. Yeah, you're right. I'm sure it worked different ways. I'm sure there was still cavalry hanging out at all places, but there'd be a lot less of them. Let's go Mets. Very cool, Maddie. Exactly, Julia. Great point. What if he threw his knife? The fact that he threw his knife, it really doesn't play into it, except it's just another thing from that night that he had a weapon that night. That's all. That was Brianna. That's a very good question. Booth should be in costume and act like he's helping them search. That works in the movies, Christian, not so much in real life. Not so much when you're John Wilkes Booth, who doesn't look like a grimy, soldier. He is a well put together, very handsome, very dignified man. The manners alone that he has, the way he walks, he'd have to be a superior fake job to try to pull it off. And again, say I'm working in the military. All of a sudden I'm walking, I got a guy next to me. Who are you? Where'd you come from? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work that way in real life. Good plan. Good for a comic book maybe, or a good, adventure story, not for a real life story. Can find his fingerprints and track him down. True, they don't have that. They did have fingerprinting, Christian, believe it or not. People going, gets arrested and tells the truth. Arrested. No, Brie doesn't want me to stop. I know it's a weird question, but yesterday Bashpa told me about the class song she had. She wanted me to ask you if you remember what the song was. Let me give me 1 second on that song. I'll talk to you about it in a second. What's been frozen? Me? I hope it's not frozen there. Oh, anyway, we're going to continue tomorrow reading. I'm happy to be back. I was looking forward to this all day. I was actually looking forward to this all weekend to get back to you guys, talking to you. It's fun. It's really the best part of the day. Here, our class song was a song called Alive. Amazing song that I still listen to every day. I'm almost positive that's the song she's thinking about. It was maybe I'll put it on the site for us to hear. It's a rocking song, and we played it at the school at our 5th grade celebration dance, and we rocked the entire place. Yeah, Julia, I think I'm going to set up a day where we're just going to sit and chit chat. I think that's a good idea. I think maybe we'll do that Wednesday. We'll talk about where the week has gone, how your work is going. What I love what Maddie Johnson did today. Matt, I don't know if it worked for you. I haven't heard back from you yet, unless you did. I just didn't look at it. Matt did the math and he wrote, I had an issue with this question and this question. Yeah, any help you can give me on it? And I was able to just give him his own personal video on that question. I can't do that all the time, but at least I get some feedback from you guys. That's important for me as a teacher to know where you guys are. So I need feedback. Make sure I know what's going on in with your work. Again, very important. The work is assigned, right? You do your best to do it. Don't get crazy about it. Don't get crazy if you get something wrong. Don't go crazy if you didn't understand it. Don't get crazy if you didn't do it. Do I want you to do it? Yes, I want you to do it. I want you to start taking this responsibility that you're going to do the work. I don't want mom and dad to do it. They can help you, sure. But I don't want them on your back to do your work. I want you to be responsible to do it. It's 3 things a day. Mr. Kavanaugh, I was stressed. I couldn't do it. Don't do it. Not going to beat down the door to get you to do your work. I don't want you to stress about it either. We're going to do this. This is our relationship right now. All right? I'm here to help you through this time, and that's what we're here to do. I'm not here for anything else than that. We're spending our time together. I'm going to teach you things, talk about great books. I got 3 more books. If this goes on forever, I'll read to you until you're in college online every day at 4 o'clock. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but I got 1 million books. We'll talk every day, and we'll do something like this. Can't wait for the next book that we're going to read. As soon as this book's done, I got another book ready to go. On the math for Sunday, I got almost all of them wrong, and my dad helped me figure it out. Yeah, it's hard. Sure, it was hard, Julia. Absolutely. Yeah, Dean, I saw that. I'm very happy for you. I knew you would. I don't even doubt you. Jack, I got your message today about the science, and we'll talk about it. But awesome. Jack, I love that you're doing the work. Thank you. I hope you're not driving your mother crazy. Thank you. You're growing up, bud. I'm proud of you. Never homework on the weekends. And I know, Lee, you had trouble understanding this. That math was assigned on Friday or Thursday. I don't know, maybe Friday. And it was 22 questions. I didn't want anyone to feel they had to get 22 questions done in one day. So I said, you can hand it in Sunday. Guess what? You got to hand it in today. You can hand it in tomorrow. You can hand it in next Thursday. Do what you do. What I'm trying to show you is you could be responsible. If you see a due date, get it done by that date. Get your body used to that, because that's what middle school is. That's what college is, high school is. So you see a due date, say, okay, I got to plan my time. If there's 22 questions, let me do 10 on Friday, let me do 5 on Saturday, and let me do 7 on Sunday, and then hand it in. Or let me do 22. I'm going to sit down and get them all done. Whatever works for you, you do. If you want to do it in one sitting, you can. I always would do my work in one sitting, but it's not mandatory. Okay. That's it. Guys, we good to go? Konnichiwa to you too, Dean. Science video was funny. I tried to find a better video. That guy was really quirky is the best word I could use for him. It is what it is. I've been watching that video with the kids for 20 years. So I'm glad you at least got something out of it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Any questions, you know how it goes. But the parade is tomorrow. Listen, what I suggest, if you're not on the parade route, one of the houses that we're stopping at, if mom or dad is around or you jump in a car, just park on the street of one of those things. You don't have to keep your social distancing, keep away from people, stay in the car, stay out the window, and as we drive by, you wave. And it's really, unfortunately, we're going to try to facially see you, but it's going to be hard because it's not like we're not professional parade drivers. We're going to drive and we're going to wave. And it's just something to show you that we love you and that we're all behind you and you're not alone and we're all thinking of you. And we want to be back. We want to be by you. And that's why we're doing it. But do your best if you can get there. If we're not on your route, we apologize. We do the best we can. But drive your car. Get in that area. Right click on the thing. Okay. I'll talk to you guys later. Great to see you. Parade starts at noon, 12 o'clock. Parade starts at noon. I don't know. What's tomorrow's day? Real quick. Tomorrow's day is what? Today was Superhero Day. By the way, only got 4 pictures of superheroes. If you got a superhero shirt or something, put it on. Get a picture of it and send it in because I'm going to be making a montage. I want you in it. I have my Cab Kid shirt. Here, I asked your sister if this is from her year. My Super Cav Kid shirt right there. Pretty cool. So get your shirts on. I got a Supergirl. I got a Batman. I got a great Stan Lee photo. I got War Machine. Get me some good photos and take a picture. All right, guys. Hero, was I right? You didn't answer that. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.